A system means different parts working together based on rules. When many parts work together with many rules, one may call this system complex. Transportation networks, the human nervous system, and even societies may all be treated as complex systems. There is no one yardstick for knowing when a system becomes complex. Having many moving parts matters not if all parts do the same thing. This is why complex systems and large-scale systems are not the same. The latter only has many parts without added baggage. Pieces with special roles yet working for different ends may also fail to be complex. Complexity really has no formal definition in the physical sciences. At best, quantifying complexity relies on measures that approximate intuitive notions. The same holds with complex societies. Typically, however, complex societies in the literature have these traits. First, we have social specialization. Early societies were hunter-gatherer tribes where members did similar roles. Little by little, these hunter-gatherers started dividing tasks among themselves. With agriculture and production, society saw its members further specialize. This division of labor in a society allows it to perform tasks faster. Complex societies have high social specialization with more and more specialized tasks. Then we have organization and control. No matter how specialized members of a society are, complexity arises only when they start working towards similar goals. Rules allow them to live together, but large undertakings and projects need more coordination. Complex societies thus have organization that keeps their members working together well. When two societies have the same population, a society with more specialized tasks is more complex. When two societies have the same population and specialized roles, the one with more levels of command and control is more complex. A complex society thus works like a machine. Each part performs its own task, yet all tasks work for the machine's operation. In other words, delegation and organization of delegates mark complexity. A Bronze Age city appears primitive to us in modern society, yet a Bronze Age city with high division of labor and organized bureaucracy stays more complex than a lone homestead with futuristic technology. Complex societies comprise different social units that are potentially independent and stable, and may have been so at some point in history. Villages, brotherhoods, and cities, among other social units, serve as complex societies' building blocks. It may seem an anomaly for many that these small units could be stable, functioning units on their own. However, this view comes only for modern society itself is the anomaly, and the former the norm through history. Complexity ultimately appears since many problems can be solved by scaling up society, whether in specialization or in organization. Many tasks can be done, which would have taken ages otherwise. A society may reach new heights that others can only dream of. Adding more rules and roles in society, as well as ways to enforce them, seems how the city of man can finally build its Tower of Babel. Yet unlike Pandora's box, hope is only the first thing that citizens of this brave new world find. Complex systems are inherently hazardous. Human operators live and breathe danger every move they make. This inherent danger ensures that many redundancies and defenses exist in complex systems against failure points. In fact, complex systems never really operate in peak condition. So many cogs exist in the machine that by sheer probability, there are always quite a few that are broken at any point in time. Once enough cogs break, however, the system starts slowing down more and more. It becomes harder and harder to fix all cogs. Those who control the system must decide which cogs need fixing and which need to wait. Each decision for large machines, however, is always a gamble. Some cogs, which seemed unimportant, may turn out to be holding entire machines together. Others, which seemed so important, may in fact amount to window dressing. Fixing one cog may also cause other cogs to stop working from whatever reason. Here, we see that the very act of maintenance, ironically, may also make the whole thing break down. The most tempting solution to complexity's problems is to make the system more complex. After all, complexity first appears in society, for it initially makes decision-making and problem-solving easier. Adding another rule, adding another job title, adding one more term to the equation all seem to make things go smoother. We can say that a society becoming more complex seems like an anti-fragile process, a society biased to adding complexity benefits from uncertainty and new problems. However, the costs will catch up. More rules means more training and memorization. More job titles means more coordination, more mental toll in dealing with different jobs, and more delays when one doesn't do his job properly. More terms in the equation make the model overfit the data. This last consequence summarizes the fate of complex societies. They become inflexible, unable to respond well to new problems. Prosperity has made them so stuck in their ways that rust seeps in, and they break when they clash with stronger steel. Complexity may benefit society at first, and uncertainty may cause these benefits at first, but this strength becomes its own downfall. Societal complexity goes from anti-fragile to robust to fragile. Complex societies will become unable to adapt to new problems and make new decisions over time. One may ask how we can test this hypothesis. Conveniently, complex societies need a large service sector to keep running. In the real world, we can use the service sector's income as a benchmark for how complex a society has become. Simulations with real-world data give us a glimpse of how complex societies rise and fall. Nassim Nicholas Taleb, a financial engineer, defines anti-fragility as a convex response to a stressor or source of harm. Fragility, on the other hand, is a concave sensitivity to stressors. This first figure shows how relative industrial output responds to relative services output over time. At first, relative industrial output responds positively in a convex shape. Societal complexity, thus, is at first an anti-fragile process. Over time, however, we cross an inflection point. Relative industrial output starts responding in a concave shape, showing how societal complexity becomes fragile to uncertainty over time. Complex societies are most represented in an overreaching bureaucracy which has more and more control over society's organization. A more straightforward model plots economic production as a response to bureaucracy's size, among two other factors not shown in the figure. Again, production increases convexly to bureaucracy's growth at first, before reaching an inflection point, then responds concavely. Complex societies suffer from other woes than what we have mentioned. They have low asabiya, as Ibn Khaldun points out. They force people into atomized, individualized units for better command and control over specialized roles. They must ensure that all cogs in the machine work well and that failures in the system are localized. The cost of all these add up such that complex societies face diminishing additional returns from complexity. That is, the additional benefits from increasing complexity will keep falling till they reach zero. Once they reach zero, benefits from complexity will keep falling and falling till no more come. Once no more benefits flow from increased complexity, woes start appearing without answer. Society, so used to the way things used to run, no longer faces new problems well. Even one loose cog in the machine, whether one that has never failed or one whose failure went unnoticed, becomes a large liability. These problems start piling up and complex society buckles under their weight. Complex societies will simplify as complexity offers no more value against new problems. A society which has gone from a complex being at work to one, or many, much simpler in a short time, is a society which has collapsed. The process of collapse is violent, the sum of all rot seeping into society's foundations as more and more problems get swept under the rug. Reigning kings, ruling governments, all these become unattractive to the people, for who would back one who takes from subjects yet cannot solve their problems? Joseph Tainter summarizes the process of collapse. And I quote, "Under such conditions, the option to decompose, that is, to sever the ties that link localized groups to a regional entity, becomes attractive to certain components of a complex society. As marginal returns deteriorate, tax rates rise with less and less return to the local level. Irrigation systems go untended, bridges and roads are not kept up, and the frontier is not adequately defended. The population, meanwhile, must contribute ever more of a shrinking productive base to support whatever projects the hierarchy is still able to accomplish. Many of the social units that comprise a complex society perceive increased advantage to a strategy of independence and begin to pursue their own immediate goals rather than the long-term goals of the hierarchy. Behavioral interdependence gives way to behavioral independence, requiring the hierarchy to allocate still more of a shrinking resource base to legitimization and/or control." End quote. From The Collapse of Complex Societies. This pattern of collapse has happened many times in history. Great powers lose their way, and locals cling to local rulers and local regimes once the center of power gives no more benefit. The rise and fall of these powers serve as poignant examples of this cyclical pattern. Societies that once thrived on intricate structures, sophisticated governance, and expansive influence find themselves suffocating under the very weight of those systems. Unable to adapt or reform, they crumble, leaving behind lessons of the perilous path that leads from complexity to collapse. Viator in Terra brings the latest scholarship in medieval times to a general audience. Popular consciousness is rife with misconceptions and myths about medieval times, owing to inertia in the school system, peer education, or just plain laziness. However, our mission needs time and effort to bring about. We have great passion towards this interesting and often misunderstood time period. Please see the description below for ways where you can give even the smallest support.